So you were supposed to come up with...
You gave me a very short period of time. You gave me a short period of time, and my mind has been elsewhere. It's a short one, but it's hitting home this week a little
Let's
bit.
talk about that.
It was difficult for me to put it into a topic title. Clarity and clear boundaries in field management. So, live example, a crew is sent somewhere to accomplish a specific task, and this task is taxing. It's going to take a long time. Somebody intercepts them, not their direct manager, but somebody of management level. Somebody intercepts them and sidetracks them to do other things. Now, because of that sidetrack, their task that they were expecting to complete that day did not get completed. But their task is no longer completed, and so it's kind of like a ripple or domino effect of, okay, so now what are we going to do about tomorrow? Because tomorrow we had something else that we needed to get done.
Okay, I got to stop you there. Because it really does depend on who it came from. And really, the problem is the person that derailed it.
Yes. No, and I think I agree. I think that the person that derailed it also took responsibility in derailing it. It was still derailed.
Yeah.
But I just think that there is clarity. But I think the boundaries and respecting those boundaries. We resolved it. We rearranged some things. We came up with a game plan. Everybody involved kind of talked about it, made sure that everything is still going to happen according to plan. Everybody's aware of any sort of scheduled date changes for anything else that's being impacted by it. I know that it can be difficult sometimes to respect those boundaries. Just because if you're the one on site and and you see something that needs attention, it's not to say that what it was that was side quested wasn't also very important, and critical to get done. It's just, like I said, the sort of lack of communication around it or what have you to be able to.
It just kind of all boils down to communicating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because had that person communicated differently, because you still needed that outcome or whatever you requested,
right.
But it would require a lot of communication with that person's direct report, communicating with the people that are going to be affected thereafter. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of, I gotta talk to all these people. We dealt with it. I'm sure you're talking about what we dealt with yesterday. And it was it's a ripple effect. We ran late on this one customer, so then we rearranged the schedule and moved that customer to this other crew so that they could still get visited this week. Then it affected today's schedule or Thursday's schedule with those people, and then they got pushed a day. Yet the original customer that we were working on, that job is left unfinished. We dealt with this a lot, particularly in residential, because it was if that project went behind, the person you were working on have to most of the time pay extra because they've added on a bunch of change orders and you've already blew through all of your fluff days or fluff hours. So then the next person that you were going to go do, you have to have that conversation with them and be like, hey, I know that I told you that we were going to start on Monday, but this job that we're on right now is there's a lot of change orders that are happening and we're trying to wrap up this job. So it's going to take us some extra time to finish this. I won't be able to start your job till Wednesday. Most of the time, if you have that conversation with people on the forefront of things, they're going to be understanding.
As soon as possible.
Yeah. There's also those other people that really don't.
And finding out at the last minute or day of is not okay for anybody.
It happens for sure, but it's also, on the other hand, they're going to want you to spend that time to finish up their project before you start someone else's project. But of course, it's not their problem necessarily. That's a forever tug of war.
Yeah. I think that generally we do a good job, but I think that we do have one particular habitual violator. I do love him very much, but he sometimes can do that. I think that he almost sometimes doesn't even realize what he's doing. Or that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Best intentions.
Best intentions. Yeah. How do you tell your customer that?
Right. You can't. Specific thing to explain.
Yeah, especially when someone else promised this other stuff. Yeah, they're on the way. They should be there at this time. And you find out 2 hours after you said that they were going to be there, that in actuality, they're not there.
Right, still not there.
Now you just look like a butthead. It's so hard.
It's tough. And, it's just like you said, everything. I feel like a lot of things boil down to just staying in communication, whether that be with the crew and tracking their actual progress or in communication with the customer so that they're aware of all the movements and when to expect you or what to expect. And then if you're on site with somebody else's crew and you're going to have them do something that's going to consume a little bit of time, just let somebody know.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they're going to be like, no, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more of like, okay, let me start to come up with a solution of what's going to happen from this.
And I hear it all the time too, because especially like when I'm harping on people about overtime, but it's like, oh, but you need to get these jobs done. It's like, dude, I can't do both. If I'm going to finish this job that you need me to do, and I understand why it needs to be done, but then don't come at me about overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, but I am going to get on to you about overtime because we should, how did we get here? But
I think that, we do our best to minimize it.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
Minimize it as much as possible. Continuously trying your hardest to minimize it. And whether that be once you're kind of dipping into the overtime hours, really managing the crew sizes and things like this and making sure that you have just enough people to get things done while still being efficient and effective.
Yeah, because you want to be both.
So that was just something that kind of crept in my mind. It was just very applicable that day. And
look, we have how many crews are out today? And it's Friday.
I think on maintenance we only have 2 crews. And then construction we do have 2 crews. And we do have the enhancement crew out.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of crews on a Friday.
Yeah.
That's a lot of overtime. But, again, at the same time, we need to do it. If we don't do it now, then it's just going to ripple effect into next week. And then,
Construction, I'll admit that we're habitual violators of overtime. I think that there are different things that affect that, and that is that Friday is like typically a day where it's minimally scheduled because we are attempting to minimize overtime. And with those guys being primarily on commercial projects, Friday kind of becomes a little open for me to be able to utilize a salary guy and maybe a couple of members of the crew to knock out some smaller items just across the board. The other thing that sometimes affects it, and we're seeing it now on a couple of projects, is that these bigger commercial projects, other things will hold them up and delay and delay and delay.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about trades that kind of come before us.
Yeah.
What doesn't happen is their target date doesn't change by a month. It stays the same. And now we're rushing everything else. And with us being more of like on the back end of those things, our time is, I feel, the most affected and the most squeezed. So, we start kind of, okay, well, we only have this many days really to get something done.
I know they build, I'm just going to fluff days into like every construction schedule. But like you said, since we're the last trade or one of the last trades, everyone else before us has already
abused it.
Yeah.
And even if they still have some fluff built in there, those guys are never going to tell you that.
No.
They're really, they're not going to be like, hey, I know our target's October 1st, but if it stretches to October 30th, that's okay.
Yeah, we even like this year, I remember doing a lot of jobs where they're like, hey, we need to be done in 2 weeks, and they just released us to actually get going. There's no way we can complete this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, or we show up and it's not even ready.
Yeah, right. And then there's a bunch of trades. They're doing their punch items, but they're in our way. Yeah,
it's never going to be,
and you're never going
perfect.
to be able to like really recoup it, because it's like when it comes to like, emergency, you can be like, yeah, I can charge him whatever because I had to like stop what I was doing in order to handle this emergency. So like, yeah, you can charge a little bit more, but really emergency rates are like 2 to 3 times whatever your normal rates are. But like when it comes to these type of contracts, they're like,
they're not going to allow that.
Yeah. Like thank you for helping me in a bind, but I don't have it.
Yeah. So I guess we just kind of went on a tangent there about overtime and just things that can affect it. Maintenance is, I think, done a really good job of really effectively minimizing their overtime. I think so.
Yeah, but
based on what's on their plate, everything they're getting done.
Yeah.
And with other things in mind, like like kind of a ramp up in trying to make sure that quality work is happening, it's going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to someone, and they were talking about, most of the time, like mowing crews, the first thing they do is usually mow, right? And the beds are usually last. But then all the detail work is getting screwed over because it's the last thing, and you're already out of hours. You spent all of your time doing mowing, which it needs to be done. One strategy is to flip it and to start working on the beds first and then mow. It's like, oh, what do you know? There was enough time to do both. Isn't that crazy? Right now, like, our grass is not actively, like, super growing because it's still pretty hot here. I mean, like, what's the temperature today?
That's my yard.
Yeah, I know. It's still in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's not really watering, but come here soon, it's going to start moving into dormancy, so it's going to not grow as fast.
Right.
There's going to be some areas that don't need to be mowed weekly as much as they were before. So then you can focus on
Details.
A
lot more.
Yeah. Versus like in, I don't know, May, right? When it's like still pretty rainy, you can't skip mowing.
Yeah.
Because it's ready to get mowed at 5 days.
And flipping back to construction, I would say, and roping enhancement now in there, since they're kind of under our umbrella now, it's still kind of a shared bag. But yeah, particularly with the enhancements, having really effective team members can really make or break that situation. And on construction too, we have been talking about this for a little bit now, but being like on this weird cusp of like, do we need a third crew?
Yeah.
Do we not?
Right.
We do now, but we won't next month, and keeping them busy on billable things. There's endless punch work and little things that can keep somebody busy. But
on that note too, it's like, okay, do we need another crew? Then my brain is like, well, next month we're doing contractual items. Even if I'm telling everyone you need to focus on your enhancement sales, in reality, if they were to sell all of like these enhancements as much as I'm telling them, and we need to do the contractual stuff, I don't have available crews to do either or, but which one do you do? And that's difficult too.
That's where I kind of have tried to, or what I've been slowly working on is trying to, like, it'll still be a dedicated enhancement crew, but I want them to be commercially, like, construction capable.
Yeah.
Just so that all of that can be very much more interchangeable as far as scheduling them. And then yeah, I mean, we do have enhancements booked out. We do have commercial work booked out. Things come up in between all of that we need to try to squeeze in there where we can, when we can.
Yeah, they almost need to be like a floater type situation, because there's sometimes it's not needed 100% of the time for a third commercial crew. But it's also,
like you're saying, then this contractual work comes up, mulch refreshes on HOAs and large apartment complexes, and they're tied down there for days.
Yeah. Right. I say a lot of the times, okay, that's simple because it's just doing mulch. But man, I mean, we're talking hundreds of bags of mulch.
Thousands.
Yeah, like thousands of bags of mulch. Okay, yes, it's easy, but that's a lot. It's real, and you're on a budget. You're on a budget of bags, and you're on a budget on hours. We typically blow both of those out of the water.
Yeah.
Even though it's simple work, it's still, that worker still needs to understand what depth the mulch needs to be at, which is how much?
3 inches.
3 inches, right. But usually when you're doing...
You thought I didn't know that?
No, I mean, I just wanted to put that on recording because it's good information. But yeah, you want it to be at 3 inches, so there's going to be some areas that are going to need more than others, but you still want it to be even. I've seen people do mulch refreshes all the time, and they got like too much at the base of the tree. Or it was like messy done.
I should have taken a picture. That just reminded me, I'm jumping subjects, but I was driving through my neighborhood and I literally passed the house and kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. I stopped and like reversed my car down the road to go back and like look at these trees. They had built their tree wells up like this high.
Dude.
And it was like really concentrated right around the trunk. It was just...
Did they fill it up too?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it was just a big mound of mulch at the bottom, at the base of the tree. Like, I mean, 2 feet tall. And they had jammed...
Like a true volcano.
They had jammed Purple Hearts in there.
Gross.
Is that right, Purple Hearts?
Yeah.
I know the other name, but I don't like to say it.
Yeah, Purple Hearts. The Wandering.
Yeah.
Yeah, Purple Hearts.
Gosh, I was just like, wow, that is ugly. And there was only like 5 of them in there, so it just looked
I get
like
it
shit.
For homeowners that do that because you did your best.
They don't know any better.
But when I see like HOAs do it and like other landscaping companies, it's definitely one of my icks. Yeah. And cringy, super cringy. So if I ever see any of our crews that do that, I immediately like melt. So even though it's, it's not as complicated as irrigation, but they still gotta...
Yeah, and I think another challenge that goes with that too on those ones is just like the spread. I mean, it's just spread out. The one that's coming up next week is...
Oh, you mean as far as like the service area is big?
Yeah. I mean, next week we got 36 pallets landing, and they're all going to land in one spot because that's how the delivery works. And then we got to make sure. And then
are we staging it?
Yeah, we got to make sure we have a skid steer out there. So then we got to make sure that we know strategic places where to place this mulch, not be in the way.
We're staging it, so we can only be mad at ourselves if we don't stage it in a smart and effective way.
Right. Which I'm not too worried about that part. It's just an added thing. That's a body in the skid steer, moving that around, not throwing mulch himself.
And again, we don't get paid for that. That's something that, and that's actually brings up a good note. I was talking to Scott about a commercial project that we have for the fire station, and specifically talking about staging dirt. And so that we could be smarter, because if we just stage it at one spot, then that means the labor that it's going to take to wheelbarrow it around is going to end up blowing those hours out of the water.
We learned that lesson at the other one.
For sure. So he was like, or I can spend this amount of money with this much labor and rent a machine, then disperse it where it needs to go. We still need to use wheelbarrows and shovels, of course, but still.
Yeah.
I would rather do that and know that it will be taken care of, rather than having this like open-ended labor time to get it done.
No, I talked to him about that. I think it's a much better idea, because we were talking about it. If we were to use a skid steer to do that, moving that dirt around, again, it's just not efficient at all.
Right. And then, God, we always have equipment issues. Even though we have nice equipment, it just always happens. And it would happen, you know, if we were to not go that route and rent the machine that he was talking about and just try to do it with our skid steer. Lord knows it would break down, and then we're scrambling trying to figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah, or it just wouldn't allow in the time frame that we have, because we're moving 3/4 of a yard of dirt at a time versus 3.5 yards. But yeah.
So one of the things that we were going to talk about was how it's difficult, specifically in the landscaping industry, no matter what role you are. It's very difficult to be able to work remote without being physically in the office. And there's a couple of reasons. Right off the bat, like what are your thoughts for specifically the landscape industry, not any other industry? What are just your right off the hip thoughts on that?
I think it's important for team visibility. I do think that. I think that a lot of times it's thrown out there like, well, I work better from home or what have you. I don't necessarily believe that. It's such a new thing to me. You know, it was so new. During COVID, I saw it happening so much in so many other people's lives and work. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. I know a lot of people took it back after COVID. I remember in the beginning they were like, oh my God, they're so much more efficient, and they're saving on
gas.
People are saving on gas,
tolls,
but then offices were able to like get rid of office space because they no longer needed it. And so they were saving money in that way. And I guess that, you know, for them it might have worked. Towards the end of that and COVID going away, it started to go away, because I felt like people were then a few years into it. Now they were saying, well, efficiency's down again because people are at home chilling. Yeah. So, and all throughout that time, you know, we really never worked from home. None of us.
Nope.
I mean, I think when I had COVID, I worked at home. Yeah. My responsibilities at that time allowed me to be able to do that, because what I was, you know, primarily focused on that time was like permitting. I think you were like the first and probably only super successful person to do it. But that was because, again, primarily you were at your control center, and you have a copy control center at home. So it did work for you, and there was never a doubt that you weren't at your control center. Right. You might have napped.
Oh, for sure. Are you talking about when I was on maternity leave, or just the times I work from home?
Not even. Like, I think that the times like you work from home in general. I mean, I can't recall like a time where you were working from home and like I really couldn't get a hold of you if I needed you. It wasn't like I needed you to like meet me on site somewhere or something like this. It was more of like an informational need. So I think, you know, and you said don't do this and jump into like roles.
Well, I mean, you can now. I meant like your first initial like thoughts. It was really your first initial thoughts kind of like is a culture reason, really. Because you said visibility. That means like for culture purposes, you think it's important to be present, physically present in an office. Yes. Or someone's home base, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You know, here and there, when necessary, I think there should be some flexibility now that I've learned to feel that way. It's also very people specific. I think that some people can be trusted to work from home and do work well from home. Others, you know, sometimes it can be questionable. I think that you establish that early on, you know, like you asked for it. Yeah, I've never asked to work from home. Yeah. You asked to work from home. Okay, you can work from home on Friday.
It's a privilege. It's not a right.
And I see that you did well. Okay, I'm open to it. You know, can't not to be abused, because really I think that you had said this maybe in a conversation with somebody that was interested in this. That was never part of the job description. You know, you came in, you applied for the job, all these things.
It would be different if it was a job description said it was remote and then they took it away. That's totally different.
Or said it was remote and then never allowed it to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was just that's never been a part of the job description. And like you say, it's a privilege. Don't abuse it. And also, it shouldn't be the norm,
right?
You know, it shouldn't be expected to be the norm either.
I think it's people specific, like you as a person and your, I don't want to say like your beliefs or anything like that or morals, but it's just like you as a person and your working style, and also role specific. Because I can't really use me an example because I'm not a good example when it comes to this, because it's hard for me to, I mean, I've had 3 maternity leaves and I've worked through every single one. But I don't know, like an admin person, like if it was, let's just say a bookkeeper, you know, that 1000% can be remote. It's a lot of data entry and it's a lot of whatever. Can that person do it? But then you have, let's just say, your office admin, the person who like answers the phones and, you know, delivers messages or receives the mail, what have you. That person can't work from home.
No.
But they're still both in administrative. So then you have your admin that's like, well, I want to work from home. I can do some of my job. You can just move the phone calls to my phone and I can answer the phone from home. It's like, yes, but what about, you know, the mail? Who's going to do the deposits? Who's going to do this? So then now that role, it's like, yes, you as a person, your working style, you could possibly do some aspects of your role from home, but this role requires for you to be present. That's something that we can't flex on, right? It's difficult.
It's a slippery slope. Very
slippery.
I think that we have learned lessons on it too, on being inflexible about it. I think that we've also been abused by it.
Yeah, it's a constant shuffle. We've been flexible and then it's gotten abused. So then we go back to being like hard no. Then we kind of go back and be a little bit more flexible. And then it's like expected. Yeah, it's the constant struggle. I have a lot of people too that kind of complain about how the certain policies, not necessarily this one, because we don't really have a work from home policy. It's a case by case basis. It's not like written down.
It's not written down, but we did come up with one.
Yes, we did. But it like officially hasn't been in like the handbook, but even like holiday pay. People, that policy will be like, well, you know, that's not very descriptive. Well, it's also not supposed to be. Why do I need to get like into the nitty gritty about holiday pay? I mean, are you saying that the standard is, and I do understand it. I tell myself, okay, clear is kind. So was it clear? But it's also at the same time, it's black and white because not everybody's rules are different and all this other stuff. And it's just, there's a lot of and if buts. And it's like, are we really going to break it down to that much detail, or can we just be like, it's a case by case basis, but here are the main rules? Can we make exceptions to the rule for some off the wall reason? 1000%, but it's ambiguous for a reason, but not to be taken advantage of either.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, it didn't say that. It's like, come on.
And I think that it's also something, kind of speaking on it more broadly, I just think it's something that has come with like the new generation.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like people. I just mean like, this is like, I feel like it stemmed from COVID.
For sure. I think a lot of people got complacent.
Yeah, and or they were in a place where that was not the thing. They realized that they could do their job on their computer job at home. And they're like, well, why can't I do this at home? This other company does it like that. You know, I do have like a very like hard look on it. Again, while trying to learn to be and be flexible, my hard look on it is like nowhere when you applied for this job, that was not even one topic of the conversation. Not once did it come up.
Yeah, why are you holding this over?
Why are you making that such a big deal? You know, and I like everybody here. I don't want to see anybody go. My dad used to tell me when he was talking to guys in the military, and it's totally applicable at any employer. This is a volunteer situation.
Yeah.
If you don't like the way that things are here, like, you don't have to be here.
This is an at-will
You knew exactly what you signed up for when you got in here. So if it's not working for you, then that is that. But we're not gonna like change everything because one person is like, why can't I?
Yeah, we've definitely had a handful of those employees that are very much like that. Yeah, it's difficult. Sometimes when I think about it, like on the afterwards, I'm like, I can't believe that I'm even having this discussion. Again, it goes back to like, I'm running a landscaping company. You would think that I'm dealing with landscaping problems. No, majority of my problems are
people problems.
People. Also kind of going into the flexibility thing, I had that podcast that I was in with Justin and Andrew with Team Engine. And it was specifically about employee retention. Like, what are the things that you do to like retain your employees and also attract new employees? Recruiting. There we go. There's the word. One of the things too that I had mentioned was I need flexibility because I have kids. However, that doesn't mean that you, for example, just because you don't have kids doesn't mean that we shouldn't be flexible for you as well. Yeah, like, okay, if I have a sick kid, I need to go work from home, right? But like if there's a time where, I don't know, maybe you're sick, right? Or not feeling 100%, but you could probably still work, but you're like, am I going to tell you, no, you can't work from home? That's not a good excuse. But if you had a kid and said, hey, my kid is sick, I need to work from home. It's like you also need to share that flexibility. Just because you don't have kids doesn't mean that I can't be flexible with people who don't have kids.
No. That's actually like a really good and specific sort of aspect of the flexibility. I've seen that because I remember the days too where I would show up and you were the first person in the office, and Jace was asleep on the couch out there.
Yeah.
But I've seen other employees that have kids and things come up. Kids get sick. Maybe they need to leave to go take them to school. Whatever the case may be. Like you're saying, you would share that flexibility with somebody like me who doesn't have kids. Now, I don't obviously use it very often because
that's just you.
It doesn't come up. I mean, I've used it for
sure. Yeah.
Hey, I got to go run and take care of something. I'll be right back. That sort of thing. And so, but I obviously don't like abuse that or anything like that. I don't see people abusing that. I have hopes, and I actually had that conversation with Adam about that like a long time ago, saying, if I did have kids, would I be able to take them to school on Sundays or something like that?
Right. Yeah.
Of course, he was like,
yeah.
And so, I mean, and I wouldn't think anything different.
Yeah. Exactly. But of course, just as much as we are flexible. I said this to an employee actually recently. I was like, I will be as flexible with you as much as I can. I just expect it in return. So if you need to take off time because you need to take grandma to the doctor because no one else can, that's completely fine. Bring your laptop with you. Get some stuff done on your laptop while you're waiting for grandma. I don't think I'm asking for too much here, right? So that's what I mean on being like flexible in return. Or even like on the times where we work from home and you really need to make sure that you get paid because you have your rent coming up or what have you. Again, there's so many excuses and reasons and stuff out there, but I think this is where we've gotten burned, where it's like, okay, we'll allow it, but please make sure you get X, Y, Z done. And then of course X get done, but Y and Z didn't. I flexed the rules for you. I expected all of it in return, not part of it, all of it, and we only got part of it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just watching out for that abuse of it. I think that fortunately, like I have a person on my team that does request to work from home from time to time. Currently on an extended work from home situation right now. I think that she's done an exceptional job.
Yeah.
For where it is that she is and what she's doing and the stuff that she's taking care of. She's also in like a role too. I think that role has a lot of visibility digitally.
Yeah.
Like
it's very easy to see what work is being accomplished. Yeah.
There's a lot of heavy communication. Yep. We're in tons of group chats. So like I'm seeing it. There's no part of me that thinks that she's not doing that. When I reach out to her myself, she's responsive like this. And so fortunate to have a person like that does kind of request that flexibility, but also respects the flexibility.
Then on the other hand, the people that are here are like,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's also, I tell myself, okay, was that clear? You know, because clear is kind. But I'm also like, it's none of your business. Also, at the
Yes.
same time, that's the other part of me. It's like, I don't need to announce to everybody, like, hey, this person, you know.
Right.
But if you ask, I'll be open.
Yeah.
I'm just not about to like broadcast it.
Yeah.
If you need a personal time because you were going through some shit or whatever, and you may have told me or may not have told me what it was, but it's not my business to say. So in this aspect, it's, if you ask, I'll say it, but I'm also not about to broadcast it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It's a tough balance between, you're saying, being transparent, but you're not going to announce something. At the same time, too, and I'll bring up myself as an example, I guess. Maybe I'm regretting this halfway through saying it. But like I had asked you a question about like an employee. What would you do about an employee who was becoming disgruntled because they were seeing the misbehaviors and sort of disrespect from another employee and it was being tolerated? So now you have this other employee, you got no problems with this person, and they're becoming disgruntled because they're watching something that's not okay be tolerated. What would you tell that person? Do you remember what you told me?
I don't. Apparently you do. Okay.
I do. I mean, I don't know if it was these words exactly. And it was definitely not in like any sort of harsh way or anything like that. But it was like stay in your lane, you know, like focus on your lane. Keep being good. Keep not giving me problems. If there's another employee that you're seeing that, chances are, you did not say this part. This is my completing the thought. If you're seeing this behavior on this other employee, chances are their leader is too.
Yeah.
Other people are seeing it too. It will be dealt with.
Yeah.
Trust that it will be dealt with.
Right. It might not be like on your timing or what you think is the right time or whatever, but it's being dealt with.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But it's also none of your business. Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I kind of apply that in the same situation. Mm. So-and-so working from home. Well, I don't know. Stay in your lane. Don't make me tell you that it's because when I let you work from home, you suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Please let's not walk down that road.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just a balance of
being flexible.
People problems.
Yeah. Yes. People problems all the time. What are you going to do?
I mean, that is management.
Yeah.
You know, it's the mean way of saying it, I guess. Not the mean way. I say it as like a joke. But I say it to other people when they're in like a management position and they're having to talk and manage
people,
crews. Yes, people. And they're like, oh my gosh, you know, like every time I have to tell him this or I have to do this or whatever. And I'm like, you know, that's like kind of part of the job.
Yeah.
If they were perfect,
you wouldn't be here.
But I think that people sometimes forget that is a big part of it, is directly handling people.
Yeah. And or even like people that are employees that are people facing employees, right? So in our aspect, account managers, for example, your job is to manage our clients, not the properties, that's operations.
Not the crews.
Not the crews, but the clients, right? And managing their expectations and making sure that you're following through on what we said that we would do as a team. So if you are just constantly talking down or complaining about your customers, you're not in the right role. Mm-hmm. Because we can find things to complain about all day long, just as much as we can find good things to talk about. It's harder to find good things to talk about than it is for negative things because we're human. It's definitely a red flag when I hear, and this employee is no longer here for many reasons, but, you know, they would be complaining about their customer and be like, well, I had to repeat myself a lot of the times, and, you know, their customer is confused and they asked me for this and I gave it to them, but then she's like, no, that's not what I wanted. A lot of miscommunications, and it's like, well, I answer her every single time that she calls me and I do whatever, and it's like, well, there's clearly a miscommunication here, and I'm not going to blame the customer. I'm going to blame you because you didn't protect the client experience. You being negative about it and complaining about it isn't going to fix anything. If anything, it's just going to spoil your attitude about it and what you think of that person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that, you know, there might be like a little bit of like maybe a lack of like maybe humility or accountability in that situation on who, I don't know who you're talking about, but like maybe just a little bit of that, because like you said, it kind of boils down to like that basic like customer's always right situation. Yeah. There's obviously exceptions. People are psychos. For sure. But You know, like
But you
if this
need
is
to give them the idea that they were right.
if it's a customer that's paying and it's a customer or a contract, an account that we're trying to protect, and you're having to deal with this person that's tough, you need to like figure out the strategy to deal with this person. Don't expect them to change the way that they're going to deal with you.
Yeah, they're not. Especially if it's going south, you're going to have to bend over backwards. Right. And you're going to have to figure out. Yeah,
stop digging.
You're going to have to figure out how to communicate. Try something. Yeah, because whatever you're doing ain't working.
Right.
And I mean, even right now, there's one in particular where it seems impossible at this point to make them happy. But unfortunately, we've dropped the ball on a handful of things. So now that it's like, okay, are they just being difficult to be difficult because we have been...
Because they're sour.
Yeah, because, we haven't hit their expectations, or we can't figure out what their expectation is, or maybe the goal keeps moving. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons when it comes to that. So it's very hard to remain positive, especially when it's going in a downward trajectory.
Definitely. And I mean, like in the account manager's defense, generally, like the position, I mean, you are the face of that too, and you take the brunt of that, And so, but it's something that you have to be prepared for. You do everything that you can to avoid a situation going that way, and if you sense it's going that way, stop, and reset, and I don't know, But I've never been an account manager, so it's difficult for me to say. I have been alongside account managers for a few years.
Yeah, I mean, but you've done client-facing stuff. You've gone to, especially like now as a manager, like you've gone to plenty of meetings with me, or even you've gone to plenty of meeting with homeowners.
Yeah.
Right, and you can't hide when you're in person and walking that property with them,
Right.
So it's the same but different.
Yeah. I think I'm just generally a sociable person too. So I think that it was easy for me to apply that part of my personality to the part of my job that requires interaction with people. And so I remember telling this to area managers, like dealing with the production home builders, certain field managers or construction managers. I would tell them, like, do you think I like that person? Like, do you really think I really like this person?
Yeah, like they could be like my best friend.
But when I speak to them on the phone, or when you see me interact with them in person, you would never know that.
Yeah.
And I said, because I fake it.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the job. He's my customer. He may be a dick.
Yeah.
Or he may be asking for the impossible constantly. But my goal is to keep his business, keep him happy, and keep his trust.
Yep.
I'm able to do those things and also not like the person. But the other part of that, or the end of what I had said, was that I fake it so much that sometimes I end up actually liking the person. Then it makes it even easier for me. It makes it 10 times easier.
Yep.
Because now I have figured out that, hey, this guy likes whatever, and so do I. And now we're talking about that every time we see each other. And so that's my way in, and now I've built this rapport so that if things are, I don't want to say spiraling, but if there's a situation comes up, he's going to feel comfortable talking to me. He's not going to call my boss, and he's not going to call his boss and say like, oh man, listen to what happened over here. He's going to call me. They might. But
chances are, yeah.
I feel like I have been fortunate enough to have that for the most part, where they'll call me directly and have a conversation with me. And as long as, again, I do something to retain their confidence, then they allow me to solve an issue. Yeah. Before escalating anything. When I was a service tech, before I came here and here, my goal was always to never have to go back. Yeah. And part of that was like, so what would that kind of like look like across more generally is just like, when I go out and I talk to these people, like I said, like I don't want to have these conversations 10 times over. I want these guys to believe what I say. I'm going to make sure it happens. And so then the next time he asks me, that's it. You need this. I got you. It's taken care of. Good to go. I want it so that then once it is executed, he's not calling you and being like, hey, Rob said he was going to do this and it looks like shit and whatever. That was just always like an easy part to fuel the motivation of doing a good job.
Regardless if you like the person as a person or not.
Right. I remember you would tell me like, in the beginning when I was transitioning into construction and transitioning into leadership in construction, you would tell me like, oh, why is this guy calling me? I don't want him to call me. He should be calling you. And I mean, I did have to like put in an effort to sort of step in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, it required me to stop answering the phone and then be like, you need to call them because they're not going to call you. They're going to keep trying to call me, but you need to pick up the phone and call them and be like, hey, you were calling Tiffany, what's up? How can I help you? Right. Until eventually they stop calling me. Right. I mean, it took a while.
I mean, it did.
Yeah.
It did. But you were out there for a while, and you were the person
Yeah.
that was that person
Right.
that they could call, that they felt confident in, that they trusted, that would make shit happen.
Yeah.
And so it's all about effort. Do you want it? Are you in the right place?
Are you in the right seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's why, like, you want to ideally promote from within whenever you're, like, have openings or if you're whatever. But that's actually not always the greatest, especially when you're going from labor to management. I mean, we've done this a few times to where, like, we've gotten, like, a really good crew leader and made them, like, some sort of manager, and it's no.
It didn't work out the way we wanted it to.
They're still a good employee. They're still a really good worker, but it's just that it's not in their wheelhouse. What they're really good at is this position outside working, actually doing the work versus managing the work.
I would say like we have an irrigation technician that fits that sort of description.
Sure, yeah.
We never did make the transition. I think that maybe at times it was offered, and he himself was like, that's not where I want to do.
But then he's also like, I'm getting older.
Yeah.
So at some point, you're going to have to decide, do I want to be 60 years old?
And in the trenches?
Yeah, still digging holes and all that stuff.
Maybe he does.
Maybe. Shit. And we've seen it.
I have.
We have seen it. And whatever.
Yeah, but anyways. All right.
All right, cool. Bye.
Peace.